I was in labor for 27 hours when I overheard the nurse whisper to another, "Her husband isn't the father." The truth was even more shocking than they could have imagined. After 3 years of trying, 2 miscarriages, and 1 failed round of IVF, my pregnancy was nothing short of a miracle. My husband Marcus was over the moon decorating the nursery before I'd even finished the first trimester. The labor was brutal. Every contraction felt like my body was being torn in half. Marcus held my hand the entire time, feeding me ice chips and wiping my forehead while I cursed the universe. By hour 25, the doctors were concerned. The baby's heart rate kept dropping, and they were discussing an emergency, etc. section. I was delirious with pain and exhaustion when I heard it pin a nurse whispering to another near the monitoring equipment. "Her husband isn't the father. Look at his skin tone and hers. That baby's coming out a completely different color. Hope they're prepared." The room started spinning. I looked at Marcus' part, his dark brown skin, a beautiful contrast to my pale complexion part, as he dozed in the chair beside me, exhausted from the overnight vigil. Did they think I cheated? That this miracle baby wasn't ours? I didn't have time to process it before another contraction hits. 2 hours later, our daughter came screaming into the world, panned with porcelain white skin, bright red hair, and crystal blue eyes. The nurse who had been whispering couldn't hide her shock. The attending doctor froze momentarily, and Marcus' parent, my beautiful, wonderful husband parent, burst into tears of joy. "She looks just like your mother," he sobbed, kissing my forehead. What the hospital staff didn't know was that Marcus was my second husband. My first parent, Emily's biological father part, had died in a car accident when I was 8 weeks pregnant. He had been a pale Irish American with fiery red hair that I'd fallen for in college when the grief threatened to consume me. Marcus, my late husband's best friend, had stepped in. He drove me to appointments, held my hair during morning sickness, and eventually we fell in love. He proposed with a promise to love both me and my baby as his own. "Does it bother you that she doesn't look like you?" I asked Marcus later that night as he cradled our daughter with a tenderness that broke my heart. "Are you kidding?" he whispered. "I see Jake in her, and that means I get to keep a part of my best friend alive too. But mostly," he said, his voice breaking, "I see the woman I love in her eyes. That's all the connection I need." The nurse who had whispered never returned to my room, but if she had, I would have told her that fatherhood has nothing to do with DNA, and everything to do with showing up. Something Marcus had mastered long before our daughter took her first breath.